All right. So you were in Vegas for the NHL draft in the Sphere. What was that like?
It's really cool. When we first walked in, they just had like one graphic up on the screen, and we're like, "Is this it?" And and then the draft started, and it was like the whole sphere turned white, and like it was a sheet of ice, and then the ice started cracking, and
Oh my God.
it was just really cool. And like just to think like that was just a draft. Like you imagine what that is like when there's a band playing, along with all the visuals. And honestly, like if you're listening to this and you're on the fence about going out and seeing a band there, or go do it, because it is there is no venue like that on earth other than the one that's in Las Vegas.
It looks amazing. It just looks, I don't know. It almost looks like it's a little like if they wanted to, they could really mess with your head if they to put the certain graphics
Oh
up
yeah.
there.
Honestly, like I was sitting down on the floor, and I caught myself like looking up at the graphics and everything, and then I would look back down, and I was like a little like off kilter for a second.
Disoriented,
I
yeah.
regain my bearings. But so you can only imagine like a Grateful Dead show or a Fish show, or, you know.
Amazing. Amazing. It sounds like, what do they say? If you build it, they will come. If it sounds like something that everybody must experience at least once.
I agree. Go and experience it. I mean, even days when there's not a concert there, they do this movie called Postcard from Earth, and it's just all this video. I think it's like an hour long of like all these different places on Earth, and it that looks really cool too. I haven't seen it, but from what I've read, like that's even worth it. It's like I think general admission for it's like $70, which seems like a lot for a movie, but it's cool. It's such a cool thing.
Okay, that's a bargain because that's what scares me is, yeah, I'd love to see a concert there. Fish, whoever, who, whatever. But the ticket prices have to be enormous. I'd pay $70 just to go inside.
Yeah, it's so cool. And then like in the lobby, they have a bunch of like AI robots, and like it's just yeah. I mean, it's literally like going to another world for a couple of hours.
That's Vegas and anyway, like it's their own little world, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but on to the Penguins. Major, this is huge that basically, and I think this started at last season's trade deadline, but basically it looks like Kyle Dubas decided this isn't a contender. We're not going to blow it up. We're not, as he said, we're not going to strip it down to the bones or whatever he said. But it sounds like they're doing a little bit of a rebuild, or they're punting the season, or something. But that's a huge philosophical shift from what they've been doing for like the last 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, you'll never catch him using the rebuild word, but when we got the chance to talk to him out in Vegas, he basically said he's not signing any long-term contracts. This is going to be bring in veterans that can help us for this season and maybe next season, and see where it gets them. I think when he first came in last season, it was like, okay, I'm going to give this core group one shot by bringing in big names, and he went out and got Carlson. He brought in Reilly Smith, like recognizable names, and it didn't go well at all last season. And now he's like, okay, that was your one shot. Now we're rebuilding, even though he won't use the word rebuild.
It's crazy that I don't know. It's just so different because they've been quote unquote all in ever since Crosby arrived.
Yep.
And now and as a result of that, they have no farm system or no good prospects. Um and they're in kind of bad shape because basically because of what happened with Hextall and Rutherford before that, and even Dubas is all his moves last season didn't hit. So this is new territory for the Penguins.
It is. I don't think that they're a bottom five team in the NHL or anything like that. I do think that they can compete for a seventh, eighth seed in the playoffs. But as far as them being a contender, no. I mean, a successful season for the Penguins would be to make the playoffs, maybe win a round, but that would be about the extent of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to go back to a couple weeks ago, June 20th. They signed Alex Nedeljkovic to a 2-year contract. I think that was a big surprise to everyone because we all assumed he was gone. And so now we have Ned, still have Tristan Jarry. You got Bloomquist in the minors. But how do you think the goalie position is going to shake out? Do you think it's actually going to be Ned and Jari all season, or do you think Jari is still on his way out?
I think if they could, they would trade Jory tomorrow. I don't think that there are many suitors out there for him. Um, you know, I think the Penguins would have to retain some salary, but I don't even think that that's the issue. It's the fact that, including this season, there's still 4 years left on his deal. And I think the term is a little bit too long for anybody that would really be interested to take on. I don't think the Penguins would have any problem, retaining $1 million of the salary, but I don't think the team that would be interested in him wants to take a 4-year gamble. So I think, unfortunately, the Penguins are stuck with him. But again, when Dubas spoke last week and Sullivan, they said it's a competition. Nobody is being anointed the starter. So, it's very possible that Nedeljkovic could be the starter. I think what'll probably happen is the beginning of the season, there'll be a lot of, 50-50 type of games. And then, when they get into November, they have 4 sets of back-to-backs in November. So you'll see a lot of both goaltenders, I think, for the first like 2 months of the season. And then maybe one of them becomes your clear cut starter and you see more of like a 70-30 split. But I think I do believe them when they say it's an open competition, just given the fact that Nedeljkovic started the last like 12, 13 games in a row last season.
He started the last 12, 13 games in a row, and I forget, like the last 2, 3 games of the season, the Penguins were eliminated. And even then, when they were eliminated from the playoffs, and the games meant nothing, they still played Ned, even though he was exhausted. They would still rather play him than play Jari. That's where we're at, and I can't believe they brought him back.
Yeah, I'm really surprised because at the end of the season, Dubas basically said he had a conversation with Ned and said, like, hey, it's a pretty crowded goalie room here. I don't know what kind of opportunity you're going to have. And then on June 20th, out of nowhere, they re-signed him. And I know, that the room seems to really like him. And I know the media really likes him because he actually gives you like a good quote rather than the canned, like, oh, I need to play better, blah, blah, blah. Um, so you know, I was definitely surprised. I thought for sure it would be uh, Jari and Bloomquist, but that makes me wonder. I guess Bloomquist is just going to be your starter in Wilkes-Barre for the foreseeable future, and we didn't get much of a sample size of him in the playoffs last year because they were eliminated in the first round. So maybe that's it. Maybe they just need more time to see what Bloomquist could do in the minors, and then hope that maybe they could trade Jari towards the end of the season, or maybe in the middle of the season.
It kind of seemed like those AHL playoffs were like a audition for Bloomquist, and I don't know what happened, but they were eliminated pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess they just decided to wait and see. And I mean, that's fine. I mean, goalies sometimes take a long time to develop, so we'll see. We'll see. They made a move on June 29th to get Kevin Hayes, um, and got a for a second round draft pick, and basically the way it sounds like he's terrible, but we'll take him on just for the draft pick. And I don't know what I mean. it kind of seems like Dubas is obsessed with draft picks now.
I would say he's definitely obsessed with draft picks. I think they also got a conditional fifth round pick as part of that deal. They're only paying half of his salary. I believe Philadelphia is paying half of his salary as well. It's a little concerning that now he's been basically paid to leave two different places. uh, but you know, who knows? It seems like in that bottom six, they're gonna throw a bunch of stuff at a dartboard and hope some of the darts stick, and we'll see what happens. I mean, he's not a terrible player, but his analytics aren't great. He's not a fast player, which is what apparently the Penguins are still trying to play a speed game. Um, the optics of the trade really don't make any sense as far as what the Penguins are trying to do. But I guess at 50% of the salary, and you got a second round pick and a conditional fifth round pick, it's a pretty good deal from a business perspective.
Yeah, yeah. I don't understand the need to get draft picks. If you draft a player now, when are they going to be ready? 3, 4, 5 years from now? 3, 4, 5 years from now, Crosby, Malkin, Letang, all those guys, they'll be gone.
Right.
I don't understand. I don't know. It just seems like NHL draft, you're drafting a bunch of 18-year-olds, and it's just such a crap. In the NFL, those guys are like 20, 21, 22. They're more developed. And when they get drafted, they almost contribute almost immediately. But baseball does this too. You draft 18-year-olds and you hope they turn into something in 5 or 6 years. And it's just like, I don't know. It just seems like such a gamble.
It is. I think that Dubas just sees it as, you know, we have, I mean, they only had two draft picks this year. I mean, they only had no draft picks on the first day and only a few on the second day. I think he just figures the more picks that I stockpile, the more chance that we land somebody that's a diamond in the rough. I mean, look at Patrick Hornquist. He was the last pick of the draft in his draft year. Literally the last pick of the whole draft. And he ended up being a two-time Stanley Cup champion and played with Sidney Crosby for a long time. So I guess that's one way to look at it. I'm just going to stockpile these draft picks and hope that I find a diamond in the rough in one of these draft picks.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's you just get quantity and hope something sticks. Uh, Another move they made was trading Reilly Smith for a conditional fifth round pick and a second round pick, I think in 2027.
2026.
Um, for yeah, so Reilly Smith to the Rangers. I am so I'm so angry. I don't understand this dude. I don't for everything I've heard is he didn't want to be in Pittsburgh. Hey, buddy, I don't know. I'm sorry you got traded to the team to a legendary team with some of the greatest players ever. I'm sorry you've been put in such a horrible situation. I mean, yeah, Pittsburgh isn't Las Vegas, but my goodness, we're not Siberia or something, dude. And hey, here's an idea. Be a professional.
Yeah.
Like he acted like he didn't want to be here. He played like he didn't want to be here. Good riddance, you jerk.
Yeah, that was an unmitigated disaster. And hey, credit to Dubas for admitting it was a disaster and trading the guy away a year later. I don't know, if he just like kind of longed for the days of being in Las Vegas and kind of moped around. I mean, it said a lot to me that he didn't really even show up to Pittsburgh. He got traded here, but never even came to Pittsburgh until basically training camp, is what I understand. Like, he's playing celebrity softball games in Las Vegas, even though he's
Oh,
part of the Penguins, which, hey, whatever. They won the Stanley Cup.
yeah,
I get
yeah.
that. But yeah, I mean, from everything I've heard, he wasn't liked in the room. He kind of didn't want to be here, and I mean, his play on the ice kind of showed that. So hey, good luck in New York, and we'll see what happens. But surprised the team like the Rangers that wanted him based off of what happened here. I would have figured that maybe he would have ended up in a different place, but I think he had some sort of no movement clause where he can only go to like 10 different teams.
Oh, oh, yeah, yeah. We'll see if he actually decides to want to play for New York. Yeah, great. Um, Funny that the Penguins play the Rangers their first game. That'll be funny.
I thought so.
Maybe maybe they'll knock some sense into him or something. Then on the first day of free agency, they get a bunch of people, mostly 1 year deals.
Yes.
I've never seen this. Basically, just get a whole bunch of stuff and see what sticks. Um, Anthony Beauvillier, Matt Grzelcyk, I think are the big ones. This Blake Lizotte, I hear a lot of good things about.
Yeah,
Um,
that was actually a pretty good get. He's a good like fourth line guy. He has a little bit of speed. Um, you know, I think the bottom six is a little bit better, but I mean, they're all like you said, they're all the throw a bunch of crap at the wall here and
yeah,
see what happens. They signed I don't know if you want to use the word goon, but that Boca Imama. Maybe you call him up when you're playing against Tom Wilson and Matt Rempe. I don't know, but
hey, why not?
yeah,
It's obvious you need someone like that. So yeah, let's go get a fighter. Sure.
yeah,
Um, yeah, but I heard one of their goals was to get a left winger on the top line, and they
mm-hmm.
didn't do that. Now, we're not done yet because I keep hearing these rumors about Tarasenko, and I think that would be pretty cool. But who's it going to be now? As of right now, it's got to be Drew O'Connor, right?
Yeah. Right now, I would say it's probably O'Connor, Crosby, and Rust, and then Raquel, Malkin, and
Bunting.
oh yeah, Bunting, which I actually really like Michael Bunting. So you know, that's not a bad top six, but it could be better.
Yeah, yeah. And then who knows in the bottom six?
Yeah, the
You
bottom
know,
six. I mean, right now they have like six centers. You know, I don't know. Like, where's Lars Eller? Is he gonna be a wing now? I don't know.
yeah,
There's more moves to come. I feel like because they also have like eight defensemen now.
yeah.
They signed Sebastian Aho today. Not the good Sebastian Aho, but just the defenseman Sebastian Aho. Um, you know, they signed Grizzly. They did not tender P.O. Joseph, so obviously
And
he's
he's gone.
gone.
He went to St. Louis with his
Yeah.
brother.
Um,
Um,
he's out. Obviously we still have Pedersen, uh, Letang, Carlson. And then they've got Ludwig. They've signed Ryan Shea back for a year. And St. Ivany, who was really good last year. So there's kind of like a log jam down there too. It's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out. I mean, I know it's months from now until the season starts, but yeah, the bottom six, it's definitely got to play itself out, and the defense is going to have to play itself out too because right now they have way too many kind of bottom guys on the both defense and forward.
yeah, it's funny. That guy's official name is Sebastian Aho, not that Sebastian Aho. It's like it's almost like his official name or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, is if they trade someone, if they're still making trades, do you think Raquel? It seems like Lars Eller might be gone. Do
Yeah.
you think they would try to get rid of Graves, or is it in a situation like Jari that nobody's going to touch him?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Graves. I didn't even mention his name when we were going down the list of defensemen. He's
He was that bad.
I think 4 years left on his deal. Might be five. Um, If they could move Graves, they would. I think um, more than likely it would be a guy like Eller, who is a solid veteran guy, like reliable guy that would be really good on a contending team like a Colorado or to replace like Reed's retired, you know, even a team like Edmonton that was just in the final. Um, they would probably move Raquel if they could, but then who do you replace him with as a top six forward? Unless they're getting a guy like Tarasenko. Obviously, you're not going to trade for Tarasenko; he's a free agent, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If they get like a second round pick for Raquel, I'm sure they would do it tomorrow. If they get a third round pick for Eller, I'm sure they would do that. Um, but I do think that there might be another trade coming, and they do have cap space as well. So we shall see.
Yeah, I think it's around 4 million or something like that. So, um, we'll see. The funny thing about all these moves they made is a lot of them are 1 year deals. They could be, if they're like out of it at the trade deadline next season, they could be sellers. They could be one of those teams that get rid of all their players, which would be really weird.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what Dubas is thinking. Like, hey, if it doesn't work again this year, at least I could stockpile more draft picks. I'll get third and fourth round draft picks for all these guys, and we'll have 19 picks in next year's draft.
Weird. Just weird. We're in unprecedented times, that's for sure. Um, but
It's been a great run for the Penguins since
oh
about
yeah.
2008 here.
Yeah, we're so blessed. We've been so fortunate. I've never I don't think in the history of sports you've had three top players that have played together for what almost 20 years, Crosby, Malkin and Letang. You
I think
don't
this is their 18th year together.
yeah, it's incredible. It's yeah, so I mean we've been so blessed and yeah, okay, now we're gonna suffer. Oh wow. It's when I looked at all those playoff games and stuff like that, I thought, yeah, this is the anniversary of when we won this game and when this awesome thing happened. So it's like
Yeah,
we have
like pretty
wonderful
much the whole
memories.
month of May and June
Yeah,
are like, you go back and look at this date in Penguins history. It's
yeah,
like some huge playoff win or something like that. It's pretty crazy.
exactly. Exactly. But the funny thing is, they might be good. Um, I think Bunting is going to have a huge impact. I think he's going to have a huge impact on the power play. He's that grit that they needed. He's that Kunitz Hornquist type. Maybe Graves is going to be better. Maybe Carlson is going to be better. Maybe this team will actually be pretty solid.
Yeah, I think, we've talked about this before. It does take defensemen time to adjust. And talked about the Paul Martin example and the Sergei Gonchar
Bonchar,
example.
yeah.
I do think that Graves is going to be better this year. He was also hurt a bunch last year. I think Carlson is going to be better, and I think he's going to benefit from David Quinn being here. He had his best season ever under David Quinn in San Jose. Um, and I asked Mike Sullivan about that when we were out in Vegas, and he said, not only is that existing relationship there with Carlson, but that's one of the best things about David Quinn is he develops relationships with players. He's a good communicator, and he thinks he's going to develop really good relationships with all the other defensemen as well. And he's going to run the power play. And Dubas was saying the one thing that he liked about Quinn is he'll question Mike Sullivan. He's not. They go way back to their days in college, and he's not afraid to say like, I don't like that idea. I don't like the way you're running this power play. He's not afraid to speak up and give his own opinion on the way how he thinks things. So you know, when you look at it, I don't think Graves can be any worse than he was last year. The power play certainly can't be any worse than it was last year.
Exactly.
And so right there, those two things have to be better. I think Carlson will be better. I think he's still going to make boneheaded plays. There's just no doubt about that. So is Letang. So is Malkin. But this team can be a playoff team. I feel like. like I said earlier, I don't have any delusions of grandeur that they're going to be cup contenders or anything like that, but I do think that they could be a playoff.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think not enough is being said about getting that David Smith. I think they've had a problem I think ever since Rick Tocchet left. I think they've had a problem with assistant coaches. Uh seems like it hasn't gone well. So hopefully this one actually helps.
Yeah, I mean they already have a great relationship. Um, he's been a head coach in this league, and like I said, he has that relationship with Carlson as well. And all those, they can't hurt. They can they'll only be positives. And Quinn is a good hockey mind, and I think we'll see better things from the power play. But again, it's up to the players to execute. And if they draw up all these great plans, and then the players go out and do their own thing, then yeah, it's not going to
18,000 passes on a power play and don't shoot, with this, it's, that's not the coach's fault, and
work. Exactly.
coach will get blamed for it. Uh, so they get all these players, they acquire a bunch of players. You have the younger players like Sam Poulin, Puustinen, Puljujärvi, some of the prospects they got in the Gensel trade. Are they are they just being are they not good enough to play, or are they not going to play, or are they going to be competing are they in the mix to compete even though the players acquired all these players?
Yeah, that's what I worry about. They go out and they get these guys, and now are they blocking the Jaegers and the Poolins and those guys from coming up and getting to play in the NHL? So that's why I do wonder if they're going to maybe try to trade an Eller or an Achari, because they keep on talking about we got to get younger, we got to get faster, we got to get hungrier, and then you go and get Kevin Hayes. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
hey, you're saying this, but what you did is the exact opposite of what you just said you wanted to do. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are one or two more trades that might happen, because right now there's no spot on this roster for Jaeger and Poole and a couple of those other guys. So we'll see what happens, but it's kind of more of the same right now. We hear this message for the past couple of years: we got to get younger, we got to get faster, we got to get hungrier, and then you go out and you get Reilly Smith, or you go out and you get this year Kevin Hayes. So we'll see what happens there, but I mean, obviously, I think they'll be given every chance to make the team, but it's like, where's the place for them?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, okay, we're the beginning of July. Lots of stuff can still happen. Last year, the Carlson trade didn't happen until August 6th. So
Right?
who knows? Who knows what could still happen?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of movement left in the entire NHL, not just the thing.
Oh my goodness. I think I think the Capitals are like 15 million over the cap, and Anaheim is 8 million under the floor or something like that. So like yeah, there's still a lot of moves that are going to be made. Uh yeah, maybe pick up some bargains. I don't know.
I didn't look today, but as of like 6 p.m. yesterday, Anaheim had not made any moves. They were the only team in the NHL that didn't sign anybody.
And you gotta spend.
They're not
You
even
gotta get up to the
super.
floor, bro.
Yeah, they're not even to the floor yet. Maybe they're going to be the new Arizona Coyotes. I don't know.
What have they decided what the Utah? They're just calling the Utah Hockey Club right now.
For this year, they're just going to be called the Utah Hockey Club, because it take. I guess technically you have to inform the league a year in advance if you're going to make any name changes or anything. So they're going to just wait and announce that later on this season, and then have uniforms and everything ready for next season.
Interesting, interesting. But that does stink. That I mean, because Arizona basically didn't even try, and it was they were like in a joke of a situation with that tiny little arena or whatever. And now it looks like they're actually making moves. But now it looks like maybe Anaheim is the new Arizona, and they're not even gonna try. I hate situations like that where a team is tanking.
Well, they got new uniforms, so that's all there is.
Oh, there you go. Are they new old uniforms like the Kings? Because the Kings
Yes.
just went back to what they did in the 80s.
Yeah, basically they just took the old Ducks logo and put it on an orange uniform.
Okay. Okay.
It looks pretty good actually, and the Kings looks pretty good too. But you know, we'll see how it plays out on the ice.
Hey, if they want to send Gibson to the Penguins, have him come home. That's, I'd be okay with that. They could have Graves and Jari or something like that, if they need salary.
Yeah, that would actually be quite all right. I don't know. I worry or not worry. I wonder about John Gibson though. He's played in front of a bad team for so long now. Is he
Yeah.
actually a good goalie anymore, or is he just shell shocked
Well,
from all the bad teams he's been on?
well, is Jari shell shocked from this whole situation? I mean, he's been in the Penguins system for like 10 years now or something like that. It's been a long time.
Yeah, that was
I
that
think
was a long time ago that he gave up that pass in double overtime to the Islanders,
Ooh, ooh, I'm still not over that. I'm still not over that he basically single-handedly lost a playoff series.
and he still hasn't
Unbelievable.
won a playoff series all these years
Nope,
later.
nope, nope. And and apparently his conditioning sucks, and that's why he's not as good in the second half.
Yeah,
What are we doing here? I
I've,
don't know.
I've heard all of these things. You're right on, I think.
All right, so we shall see. So how can people find you and follow you and get more of your work?
You can find me on Twitter or X, whatever they're calling it these days, at PGHVC. And as far as the official report goes, the easiest thing to do is just Google it, and you'll be able to find it that way.
There you go. There you go. Hey, thanks so much for coming on. I'll always just like we said, either free agent day and trade deadline day. They're two of the best days of the year in the NHL calendar.
And schedule release day. I'm memorizing it as we speak, and it's just one interesting tidbit about the schedule this year. They have 12 Tuesday home games. Completely
Why?
random. I don't know, but the nice thing is 48% of their home games are on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
There you go. Okay. Okay.
14 sets of back to backs, though. That's pretty brutal.
That's rough. That's rough. I saw something that in one year, like in 79 or something like that, they had like 32 back-to-backs or some crazy thing like
Oh
that.
wow.
Like what I don't know what the heck happened
I don't
back
know what
then.
they were
Is
doing back then.
right. Oh. This is the year they have that Four Nations thing, right?
Yes.
So they're
So
shutting down for like 9 days of the season.
yeah, from
And
February 9th to February 21st, the Penguins don't play.
but okay, so I don't know who the Four Nations are. Obviously, Canada is one of them. US is one of them.
Yeah, it's Canada, North America, Finland, and Sweden. So it'll be Crosby on Canada and Carlson on Sweden, and probably nobody else from the Penguins.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Oh, they didn't invite Russia.
No Russia, um, and no Czech Republic or Chechnya, I guess they're called now. But I wish they would have had 6 teams, but I know it's hard to do in the middle of the season where they could have had just like you remember the World Cup of hockey where they had like an under
Yeah.
25 team and then they had another world team for guys like Kopitar who the smaller
Yeah,
nations that
yeah.
they couldn't feel. Wish they had done like a world team or something like that, and then the under 25 team. I thought it would have been a lot cooler, but when you're trying to do something within like a 2 week span, I guess 4 teams is probably the more ideal way to do it
But they're going to the Olympics, right?
next
But
year.
that's in 2 years.
Or is it next year or 2 years? I think it's next year.
Oh yeah. Okay. I don't know. I
Maybe
don't
I'm
know.
wrong. Well, the Summer Olympics are this year, so maybe
Yeah,
like I think it might be 2 years.
maybe. Maybe. Oh well. All right, we'll see. All right. Hey, thanks for coming on.
No problem. Anytime.
Okay, see you.
Thanks.